I think the Chief Justice must be lauded for taking this bold step, because it is becoming now quite clear that politicians want to drag this country to years back in the 70s and the 80s, where the administration had the power to determine how decisions were made in court. And it must be understood the judiciary is the last bastion of refuge for anybody with a dispute in this country. And if the dispute resolution mechanism that is supposed to be undertaken by the judiciary is not left to run independently, then we're likely to get into chaos. And there can be no doubt that is the intention by these politicians. But more importantly, we need to understand why the recent attacks on the judiciary, and in particular on Justice Odunga. It's quite clear that a particular set of litigants has lost considerably in court. Now, if you are to ask them to indicate the manner in which the decisions made by Justice Odunga or the benches where Justice Odunga sat were erroneous, they will not be able to point out. But they are quick to point out a perceived family relationship between Justice Odunga and one of the lawyers who've been appearing on behalf of NASA. Now, the law is quite clear, and Jubilee is always represented by very eminent lawyers who know the law. And it cannot be a coincidence that the letter came from the Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju. I mean, we've looked at that letter. It has the footprints of two prominent Jubilee lawyers. It is them who wrote the letter. And it's quite unfortunate that members of the law society will degenerate to such a low level as to draft a letter and let it be dispatched by a lay person for the sole purpose of besmirching the character of a judge without any
political mileage.
For political mileage. Because the law is quite clear. If you are dissatisfied in the manner in which a judge is handling a matter, in particular on perception that there is bias, you need to make a formal application. And I do not think Jubilee will be incapacitated in this aspect. They are the government, for heaven's sake. If at all they have evidence of this relationship, they ought to have tabled the evidence before the judge and asked the judge to disqualify himself. To the extent that this has not been done, almost 1 month down the lane, it's a clear indication that this is just an intention to intimidate the judiciary. And we have seen a statement coming from somebody who claims to have gone to law school. I think it's C.S. Kiunjuri. He indicates that their first assignment on re-election will be to put in place constitutional mechanism to reduce the powers of judges. How preposterous can it come? And this coming from a cabinet secretary? I think it's quite unfortunate.
Okay.